is a parampara system. So, so on this topic, I was just searching at what can be the suitable Vaishnav song to be sung, and I found one very Surmukha Hohe Krishna Seva Mukha Brahma Hoite Naradera Mati Krishna Hoite Chaturmukha Hohe Krishna Seva Mukha Brahma Hoite Naradera Mati Narada hoite vyasa madhva ko he vyasa dasa puran pranja padmanabha gati Narada hoite vyasa madhva ko he vyasa dasa purna pragya padmanabha gati Narahari Madhavam se Akshobheya Param se Shishya Boli Angikara Kore Narahari Madhavam se Akshobhya Param se Shishya Boli Angikara Kore अक्षोभ्येरा शिष्य जय तीर्थ नामे परिचय तारा दास्य ज्ञान सिंधु तोरे अक्षोभ्येरा शिष्य जय तीर्थ नाम परिचय तारा दास्य ज्ञान सिंधु तोरे ताहा होइते दयानिधि तारदास विद्यानिधि राजेंद्र होइलो ताहा हाते ताहा दयानिधि तारदास विद्यानिधि राजेंद्र होइलो ताहा हाते ताहारा किंकोरा जया धर्म नामे परिचय परंपरा जानो भालो माते आरा किंकोरा जया धर्म नामे परिचय जानो भालो माते जया धर्मा दास ख्याति श्री पुरुषोत्तम जाति ताहा हाते ब्रह्मण्य तीर्थ सूरी जया धर्मा दास ख्याति श्री पुरुषोत्तम जाति ताहा हाते ब्रह्मण्य तीर्थ सूरी व्यास तीर्थ तारा दास लक्ष्मीपति व्यास दास ताहा हईते माधवेंद्र पुरी व्यास तीर्थ तारा दास लक्ष्मीपति व्यास दास ताहा हईते माधवेंद्र माधवेंद्र पुरी बारा शिष्या बारा श्री ईश्वर नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता विभु माधवेंद्र पुरी बारा शिष्या बारा श्री ईश्वर नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता विभु ईश्वर पुरी के धन्य कोरी लेना श्री चैतन्य जगत गुरु गौर महाप्रभु ईश्वर पुरी के धन्य कोरी लेना श्री चैतन्य जगत गुरु गौर महाप्रभु महाप्रभु श्री चैतन्य राधा कृष्ण न है अन्य रूपानुगा जाने राजीवाना महाप्रभु श्री चैतन्य राधा कृष्ण न है अन्य रूपानुगा जाने राजीवाना विश्वंभर प्रियंकर श्री स्वरूप दामोदर श्री गोस्वामी रूप सनातना विश्वंभर प्रियंकर श्री स्वरूप दामोदर श्री गोस्वामी रूप सनातना रूप प्रिया महाजन जीवा रघुनाथ हाना तारा प्रिया कवि कृष्ण दासा रूप प्रिया जीवा रघुनाथ हाना तारा प्रिया कवि कृष्ण दासा कृष्ण दास प्रिया बारा नारोत्तम सेवा पारा जारा पद विश्वनाथ आसा कृष्ण दास प्रिया बारा नारोत्तम सेवा पारा जारा पद विश्वनाथ आसा विश्वनाथ भक्त साथ बलदेव जगन्नाथ तारा प्रिया श्री भक्ति विनोदा विश्वनाथ भक्त साथ बलदेव जगन्नाथ तारा प्रिया श्री भक्ति विनोदा महाभागवत बारा श्री गौरा किशोर बारा हरि भजन ते जारा मोदा महाभागवत बारा श्री गौरा किशोर बारा हरि भजन ते जारा मोदा इहारा परमहंसा गौरंगेरा निज बंसा तादेरा चरणे मम गति इहारा परमहंसा गौरंगेरा निज बंसा तादेरा चरणे मम गति आमी सेवा उदासीना नामे ते त्रिदंडी दीना श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती तादेर नामे ते त्रिदंडी दीना श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती श्री वृषभानवी बारा सदा सेव्य सेवा पारा ताहारा दहित दास नामा श्री वृषभानवी बारा सदा सेव्य सेवा पारा ताहारा दहित दास नामा तारा प्रोधान प्रचारका श्री भक्ति वेदांत नाम पतिता जनेते दोया धाम तारा प्रधान प्रचारका श्री भक्ति वेदांत नाम पतिता जनेते दया धाम. I think full revision of all the parampara. I think we see the form there, in that picture, form. So now that form has become name. So here we took the names of all the acharyas, which is represented in that particular image. Okay, we'll start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutat Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamsha Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratise Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapte Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balbhadra Subhadra Bhyam Jagannath नाथाय ते नमः वांचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So Hare Krishna, already half the time is over, so just go through the verse very briefly. I will not repeat it. I just read the verse, read the translation. Because I think more than half the time is we are done. Asitam urvayam bhagavantam adyam sankarshanam devam akuntha sattvam vivitsavastatvam atah parasya Kumara Mukhya Munayo Nvaprichan. Translation. Some time ago, being inquisitive to know, Sanat Kumara, the chief of the boy saints, accompanied by other great sages, inquired exactly like you about the truth regarding the Vasudev, the supreme from Lord Sankarshan, who is seated at the bottom of the universe. This is in the clarification of the statement that the Lord spoke directly on the Srimad Bhagavatam. When and unto whom the Bhagavatam was spoken is explained herewith. Questions similar to those put forward by Vidura were asked by great sage like Sanat Kumara, and Lord Sankarshan, the plenary expansion of the Supreme Lord Vasudev, answered them. Prabhuji asked me to go through 4 to 9 also, just go through a translation. At that time, this is verse number 4, yes. At that time, Lord Sankarshan was meditating upon his Supreme Lord, whom the learned esteem as Lord Vasudeva. But for the sake of the advancement of great learned sages, he slightly opened his lotus-like eyes and began to speak. Verse 5. The sages came from the highest planet down to the lower region through the water of the Ganges, and therefore the hair on their heads was wet. They touched the lotus feet of the Lord, which are worshipped with various paraphernalia by the daughters of Serpent King when they desire good husbands. Text 6. The 4 Kumaras, headed by Sanat Kumara, who all knew the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, glorified the Lord in rhythmic accents, with selected words full of affection and love. At that time, Lord Sankarshan, with his thousands of raised hoods, began to radiate an effulgence from the glowing stones on his head. Text 7. Lord Sankarshan thus spoke the purports of Srimad Bhagavatam to the great sage Sanat Kumara, who had already taken the vow of renunciation. Sanat Kumara also in his turn, when inquired of by Sankhyana Muni, explained Srimad Bhagavatam as he had heard it from Sankarshana. This is the way of the Parampara system. Although Sanat Kumara, the well-known great saintly Kumara, was in the perfect stage of life, still he heard the message of Srimad Bhagavatam from Lord Sankarshana. Similarly, when he was questioned by Sankhyana Rishi, he spoke to him the same message he had heard from the Lord Sankarshan. In other words, unless one hears from the proper authority, one cannot become a preacher. In devotional service, therefore, 2 items out of the 9, namely hearing and chanting, are the most important. Without hearing nicely, one cannot preach the message of the Vedic knowledge. Text 8. The great sage Sankhya was the chief among the transcendentalists, and when he was describing the glories of the Lord in terms of Srimad Bhagavatam, it so happened that my spiritual master Parasara and Brihaspati both heard him. Last verse, text 9. The great sage Parasara, as after mentioned, being so advised by the great sage Pulatsya, spoke unto me the foremost of the Puranas, Bhagavatam. I shall also describe this before you, my dear son, in terms of my hearing, because you are always my faithful follower. The great sage of the name Pulatsya is the father of all demonic descendants. Once upon a time, Parasar began a sacrifice in which all the demons were to be burnt to death because his father had been killed and devoured by one of them. The great sage Vasishtha Muni arrived at the sacrifice and requested Parasar to stop the deadly action. And because of Vasishtha's position and respect in the community of the sages, Parasar could not deny the request. Parasar having stopped the sacrifice, Pulatsya, the father of demons, appreciated his Brahminical temperament and gave the blessing that in future he would be a great speaker on the Vedic literature called the Puranas, the supplements of the Vedas. Parasar's action was appreciated by Pulatsya because Parasar had forgiven the demons out of his Brahminical power of forgiveness. Parasar was able to demolish all the demons in sacrifice, but he considered demons are so made that they devour living creatures, men and animals. But why on that account should I withdraw my Brahmanical qualification of forgiveness? As the great speaker of Puranas, Parasar first of all spoke on the Srimad Bhagavatam Purana because it is the foremost of all the Puranas. Maitra Muni desired to narrate the same Bhagavatam he had heard from Parasar, and Vidura was qualified to hear it because of his faithfulness and his following the instructions received from superiors. So Srimad Bhagavatam was being narrated from time immemorial by disciplic succession. Even before the time of Vyasadeva, the so-called historians calculate the Puranas to be only a few hundred years, but factually the Puranas existed from time immemorial before all historical calculations by the mundaners and speculative philosophers. Hari Bol. So Hari Krishna. Welcome everybody to today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So, it is the greatness of Srila Prabhupada's teachings, that Srila Prabhupada very nicely, in his books, in his philosophy, he focused on the fundamentals of the spirituality. So just like I remember that when we were preparing for IIT JEE, so that time some very tough physics questions will come, and we will be using our, we will be overthinking on those questions. And when a teacher will solve, he will use very basic equations. He will use, just like sometime this wedge will be there, a block will be kept on the wedge, and so much complication. My God, what is happening? I will see the professor, the teacher, he will simply say force equation, x direction force, y direction force, and after he explains, it looks so simple. My God, it's so easy because fundamental. And that's why Srila Prabhupada in his teachings hammered the fundamentals very emphatically. This is the greatness of Srila Prabhupada teachings. Although our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is very elevated, it's a Rasik philosophy. But how the Srila Prabhupada presented it is by first putting the pillars, the fundamentals so strongly. Yes? And because once the fundamental is very strong, because see, our one problem with our philosophy is, or you can say the greatness of our philosophy is, just like you make one-story building, two-story building. Our philosophy stories are very high. We say not only Vaikuntha, Goloka, even in Goloka we say not only Santeras, not only Dasyaras, not only Sakhya, not only Vatsalya, Madhurya. The story is very high, what the building we are making. So the more higher buildings, more higher floors you make, the more strong has to be fundamental. Otherwise it will collapse. And the same thing happened with in the mid, you can say 70s, 80s, when all these Sahajiyas, Upsampradaya. So what they were doing, they were trying to live on the top floor by making the fundamental very weak. And that's why their building collapsed. and it came out to be a very ugly structure, Sahajiyas, Apsampradaya, etc. And that's why Prabhupada teachings, my God, amazing. Yes, fundamental, first class. And like Prabhupada in every lecture will speak at least one statement: we are not the body, we are the soul. In the 10th canto, Ras Leela is going on, and Prabhupada in the purport is writing, we are not the body, we are the soul, and only one who has realized the soul can understand what is going in this verse. So somebody who is reading those verses and he's thinking that Prabhupada will give some very rasik explanation, or Prabhupada disciples will give very rasik. So this is very, very fundamental teaching. One of the very fundamental teachings, which Srila Prabhupada very emphatically put forward in his lecture, was the importance of parampara system. Another very fundamentals of our philosophy, of any process of self-realization, is the science of parampara system. And that's why one of the most quoted verses Prabhupada will quote in his lecture is the very famous verse of Bhagavad Gita, Evam parampara praptam, Evam rajarasya vidu. Yes. He'll very emphatically put forward it. And that's why, so I will like to speak on this parampara system. So I'll speak it in three kind of acronym, or you can say examples. So basically parampara system is the method of transmission of knowledge. So I've chosen the modern example of signal processing unit, like how the signal is processed within this world. So I will speak in three part: the source, the transmission medium, and the receiver. So these are the fundamental components of any transmission system: source, via medium in between, and the receiver. So we'll speak in this three category. So starting from the source. Yes. So to explain this science of parampara system, Srila Prabhupada first of all, he very deeply dwells into one very fundamental science. He tells there are two types of knowledge: ascending knowledge, descending knowledge. He will say ascending knowledge means using your mundane intelligence, you speculate, you think, you do research, you do whatever, and thus try to build it up. Yes, try to build it up and just try to reach the pinnacle of that knowledge, or pinnacle of that particular philosophy or whatever. So that is ascending knowledge, where a person is trying, using his own intelligence and everything. And then Prabhupada explains is the descending knowledge. In the descending knowledge, rather than a person trying to use his intelligence and mind, the knowledge actually descends from a higher source, and a person very humbly receives it. Yes, and that's the descending knowledge. And then Prabhupada then further goes on to explain that this spiritual knowledge, so Prabhupada in the 3rd canto, 5th canto, he explains about 24 elements. This world is made up of 24 elements. We are in a circle, or we are in a sphere, which constitutes the 24 elements. So within a sphere, wherever you go, you will only be surrounded by that sphere. That's all. You cannot go beyond it. You cannot penetrate it. Whatever intelligence you use, it is within that sphere. Using that intelligence, whatever conclusion you draw, that is also within the sphere. Using that conclusion, whatever application you make, that is also within the sphere. Wherever you go, you are always within the sphere. Yes. So using one of the 24 element, you can search out another element of, that is also within 24. So using whatever, using any of the 24 element, you will reach to the 24 elements only. This is a very fundamental science Prabhupada explained actually. It's not beyond that. Yes. And that's why Srila Prabhupada said that spiritual knowledge a person has to very humbly accept is beyond the three modes. It is beyond the 24 elements. Yes? And that's why something has to leak into that sphere. A hole has to be made in that sphere, and when from the outside the water or whatever we can say, it leaks inside, then the person sitting in the sphere can have few drops of that taste. Yes? Which is coming from. And that's why Prabhupada told our Shastras are aparusha. Parusha means any person who is made up of 24 elements, whose conception is 24 elements within the 3 modes. And aparusha means it's beyond 24 elements, it's beyond 3 modes. And that's why Srila Prabhupada explains there are 3 types of knowledge. One is avidya, which is the knowledge of these 24 elements. Vidya. And then I was just thinking that maybe the vidya is the highest. And Prabhupada explains vidya will take you maximum at the periphery of that sphere. Avidya means trying to gratify the matter within the sphere. That's avidya, the knowledge of the 24 elements. Vidya means by your great power, you are somehow trying to escape from that sphere. The vidya will maximum take you to the perimeter of the circle or the surface of the sphere. That's all. And that's the Brahman realization. That's the Jnani realization, who get the vidya. Yes? Maximum they are able to come to the conclusion that this material world is anyway temporary, good for nothing, bad bargain. Let's get out of it. And when they get out of it, what they say? Non-material. Something which doesn't have matter. That is their final conclusion. Something which doesn't have matter. And that's what? Brahman realization. So that is what Vidya Shakti. But then Prabhupada says, there is third type of knowledge also, which is Parashakti, the internal energy of the Lord. Yes? And that nobody can reach by his own effort. No matter how much you beat the sphere, you are surrounded in the sphere, you hammer the sphere, you knock the sphere, you will never be able to come to know what exists beyond that sphere. At max you can come to a level of, at the surface, at the perimeter, that Aham Brahmasmi. That's the final conclusion, best one can reach using one's intelligence. Yes? But then Prabhupada says, to know what is spiritual world, to know the Krishna Tattva, to know the 5 rasas, yes, which exist beyond the sphere, much beyond the sphere, yes, that truth has to mercifully penetrate within the sphere. And then the person within the sphere can get the Mahaprasad of that philosophy. Yes? So this is the science which Prabhupada explained. So in terms of source, we were talking about, we have 3 components. We are talking about the source. So the source of the parampara system is what? Aparusika. Something which doesn't have to do anything with this world, and which doesn't have to do any of the 24 elements of this world. And that's the source. And that's why this knowledge, you see all the 4 sampradaya. Yes. So I think we sung this song, Krishna hoite Chaturmukha. Starting from whom? Who is the source? Krishna. That's why you see all the parampara system is there, but first is who? Krishna, who is Aparushika. That's source. Similarly, Sri Sampradaya, which is very famous in South India. Who is the source? Lakshmi. Yes, Lakshmi is as good as Krishna himself. They are same, you can say that, same tattva, but different manifestation. Yes? So that's Lakshmi, again Aparusika. Yes? And then we have another sampradaya, Lord Shiva. Rudra Sampradaya. Rudra Sampradaya, the source is who? Lord Shiva. Again Aparushika. So you see, any sampradaya, the source is always Aparushika. Because that's the only place, that's the only thing which can actually disseminate the spiritual knowledge. So that's the first point. Second category I will go. Time is very less. I'm very sorry I'm not able to elaborate much, but whatever limited. Yes. So second one, which is the via medium. Now we will go via medium. Okay. So one thing Srila Prabhupada's teachings again explains is that Krishna never awards devotional service directly into a jiva's heart. That never happens. So the postulate. So I told we have to first of all see the fundamentals of every philosophy. So one of the postulates, like in maths also we have postulates. In quantum physics we have 2-3 assumptions. If you don't accept those 2-3 assumptions, you cannot proceed in quantum physics. If you ask reason why this, why that, you cannot proceed. So that's one of the postulates which Prabhupada explains to understand the parampara system. You have to just accept it. You can use your logic, of course. Is that Krishna never awards devotional service directly. It always comes. Bhakti sanjayate bhakti. Somebody else has bhakti. Through him you can also catch bhakti. And as Prabhupada explains, the process of burning in this material world is never a matchstick is burned and you put candle. Rather, one candle is burning, you can take your another candle and burn it. The process of burning in material world never happens. This process doesn't happen. So that is source. So Krishna will put somewhere and then you have to, I think in Diwali we have experience. One diya and another diyas, many diyas will come. So this is the postulate to understand the second philosophy, via medium. That Krishna never awards directly. It is only through the devotees. And that's why Krishna, when he's a source, he disseminated the knowledge. Now, how will this knowledge go in this world? For this, it is the chain. He makes a via medium through which this knowledge can flow. So now let us understand what is this via medium. Is it, so we know that it's the chain of the pure devotees. Is the chain of the pure devotees through which Krishna maintains the flow of the spiritual knowledge for the time. And this chain is there so that at any time, at any place, any person can come in contact and catch that fire. Yes. And that's why Krishna sometimes disseminates multiple paths also. Multiple sampradayas also. Yes. Multiple bona fide sampradaya I am saying, of course. So multiple bona fide sampradaya. So that anybody at any point of time, at any place, can have access to that particular knowledge. And that's the chain of the pure devotees. Now, within the pure devotees, so pure devotees' existence is there. So what is this chain? Is it the chain of intelligence? Like the knowledge transfer from one intelligence to another intelligence. One head to another head. Like for example, we have parampara system in colleges also, especially like ISC. One professor is there, he got learned, and he will transfer that knowledge to his PhD student. Then his PhD student will become professor in another college. And then he will transfer that knowledge to another PhD student. So this is also parampara system in one sense. So this parampara system is what? Head to head transfer. Or if you want to understand in more Sankhya way, it is more like an intellectual. From intelligence to intelligence transfer. One point to another, like that. But when it comes to spirituality, so when that knowledge is, when the source has transmitted the signal, yes, so because that knowledge is what? Apaurushika, it's beyond 3 modes. Any of the 24 elements cannot carry it. Neither mind can carry it, neither intelligence can carry it. And that's why in the first verse of Bhagavatam it says, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavyo. It's within the Hridaya. And that's why in Guru Puja also we say, Divya Jnana Hridaya Prakashito. What is that Hridaya? Hridaya is something which is most closest to the soul. And what about mind and intelligence? In Guru Puja, Narottam Das Thakur says, Ar na kariyo mane asa. Mind, you just get kicked out. My heart has got enlightened. Now mind, your job is to just to follow my heart. Ar na kariyo mane asa. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Te Koriya Agya. So it is Hriday to Hriday transfer. From one Hriday has got bhakti, he has got enlightened. Now that Hriday will transfer the knowledge to another Hriday, another Chitta. And that to another Chitta. So this via medium is what? Is it mind? Is it intelligence? No. What is that via medium made up of? Just like we have a lot of research going on that which materials should we use for optical fibers, which have least attenuation factor, least maximum permeability, maximum least loss. All optimization goes on. So that via medium which we are talking about in our signal processing unit is made up of what? Is Chitta. The heart of one Acharya gets transferred to another Acharya. Gets transferred to another Acharya. And that's why the science of Krishna consciousness has multiple existence. For example, we have soul, subtle body and gross body. So any philosophy also has these three things. There is a structure of philosophy. Just like we have a structure, Achintya Bheda Bhed, Dvaita, then Vishisht Advaita, Dvait Advaita, Suddha Advaita. There's so many philosophies. So there is a structure of philosophy. And then there's a way in this philosophy is explained. All this structure is okay. But what is the soul of that? Just like body, we have a body, it has a structure. These are the two eyes, etc. It has a structure. But what is the essence within the body? The soul. So although the philosophy can be very good structured, it may have a lot of philosophical terminology. Achintya Bheda Bhed, it looks so fascinating, yes, by hearing. It may have a good structure. Our acharyas may explain, our acharyas may give different commentaries, different explanations. So many things can be there. But what is that, actually, which is transmitting from heart to heart, is actually the Shuddha Bhakti, the essence. Yes. So just like with the soul, body also exists. So in the material world, when from Krishna, that pure aparusika knowledge had descended. So within the heart, it takes the shape of Shuddha Bhakti. Within the subtle body and gross body of an acharya, it takes the shape of philosophy. It takes the shape of books, etc. So I think everybody is understanding what I am saying. So that Shuddha Bhakti within the heart, externally, for the other rest of the people, it manifests as some philosophical terminologies. Yes. Intellectual, some kind of intellectual descriptions, etc. Yes. So just like soul, gross body, similarly, Shuddha Bhakti, and to explain that Shuddha Bhakti, there is a gross form of philosophy or gross form of intellectual terminologies. Yes? But within the core of that philosophy, what is there? The Shuddha Bhakti. Otherwise, you see that our parampara, especially the recent one, Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and then before that, Gaur Kishore Devaji, then Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Bhakti Vinod Thakur was very intellectual, highly intellectual. My God, you read his books, you're mind boggled. Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was the king of all the philosophers. There's no match to him. Now, in between, there is one Acharya, Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj, who doesn't fit into it. It seems that there is a discontinuity, as if the continuity equation is broken. He doesn't fit in that caliber, that intellectual caliber, to give classes, philosophy, He doesn't fit into that category. Then why Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur chose him? And not only that, he chose him. The person, this via medium, so there are three via mediums. So one via medium is catching from whom so that take the knowledge. So this via medium is also recommending him. You better take knowledge from him. It was not only Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur receiving side. Even the person who is transmitting, he is also saying Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur what? take from him. Why? Because they understood that the via medium is first of all heart, and did Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj has heart that every jiva has. That doesn't need any qualification. And then what is being transmitted is what? Suddha Bhakti. So that Suddha Bhakti is there, although it is not taking the subtle and gross form. Although Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj cannot condensify that Suddha Bhakti within him into a intellectual terminologies. But that doesn't disqualify him to be in the Parampara system. Namo Gaur Kishoraya, Vairagya, Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye, Vipralamba, this Vipralamba Rasam Bodhi. That was the thing Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was actually looking for. That ecstatic mood of Vipralamba Bhav. This was Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was after it, to steal it from his heart. So this was the treasure he was looking for. Although, so I think you understood what is Parampara. Please understand Parampara. And that's why when Srila Prabhupada, he was starting ISKCON, he made gross structure. He made subtle structure. Now he has to give the actual Parampara. Because that is not, ISKCON is not this, what Prabhupada, okay, this is a part of it, we fully appreciate Prabhupada for that. But then Prabhupada was thinking the name of ISKCON. What should I give the name of ISKCON? And Prabhupada was searching through Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu and every place, what can be the best name for ISKCON? And Prabhupada came with Krishna Bhavanamrit Sangh. The Krishna Bhavana word is used by Rupa Goswami in one of the very important shlokas of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. And then Prabhupada went to his god brother and asked, see, this is the name I given to my organization. Is this the correct name, Krishna Bhavana? And his god brother said, Eureka, you have caught the essence. You have caught the essence. This is what is our parampara. Krishna Bhavana. Prabhupada didn't say International Society for Krishna Service, Krishna's work, Krishna's knowledge. He could have given many things. Krishna's association or something like that. Krishna consciousness. Because that consciousness is beyond 24 elements. If Prabhupada would have given any other name to ISKCON, it would have fallen within that sphere of 24 elements. And that's why they said, his god brother, as soon as he heard, he said, you have caught the essence. That's the point. You have come, you have arrived at the right medium and right signal within it. And just like even in the signal, there are varieties of factors. There's a frequency, there's amplitude, there's so many things. There's a waveform, sometimes sinusoidal, sometimes square waveform. So it is said, in physics, there are some fundamental qualities of that signal. Fundamental qualities. Other things can be changed as per the time, place and circumstance. When the signal is passing, sometimes the signal passes through a place which is very cold. Sometimes the signal is passing through, we have optical fibers, etc. Sometimes while the signal is passing, sometimes the device gets heated up. So at that time certain manipulation is done on that signal. Sometimes it is trimmed to make it more square form. But the frequency, fundamental frequency has to be same. So in the signal processing, frequency has to be maintained because that's the symbol of that signal. If you change the frequency, gone. You are way out. If you change the frequency, you can change the amplitude. Sometimes the signal has become weak, so an amplifier is put. But the amplifier doesn't have right to change the frequency of signal. It can simply amplify the amplitude of the signal. And that's why it is said, frequency is the Suddha Bhakti. So frequency is the Suddha Bhakti. Amplitude and waveform is just like Gaudiya Math, ISKCON, etc. Sometimes it is known as Bhakti Vinod Thakur Namahatta, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Gaudiya Math, Prabhupada, ISKCON. One is a square waveform, another is sinusoidal waveform, according to the time, place and circumstances. है ना? So, but then what is common? Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada. What is the common? Frequency is the common, fundamental frequency. That is not changed. Amplitude is, waveform is changed. Everything is changed. Yes? So that's the via medium which we are talking about. So I'm very sorry. I will now come to that. I had to end the class. Bhakti Vinod Prabhu has to speak something. So I will just end with last receiver one. I beg forgiveness from all devotees. I am not able to continue. So now I will come to the receiver side now. Yes. So it is said that Prabhupada told Shabda Praman, Shabda Brahman. Prabhupada told Shabda Brahman. We have three types of acquiring knowledge: Pratyaksha, Anuman, and Shabda. There are three kinds of knowledge, And what we preach in DYS actually, which is the best? Shabda is the best, we say. But it is said, actually, Shabda Praman is not actually a Praman only in one sense. Why, I will say? Because actually the pure devotee, for him the Praman is Pratyaksh. He is seeing Krishna face to face using his spiritual eyes. So Pratyaksh is the actual Praman. See, if anybody has got bhakti or not, what is the Praman out of three? Pratyaksh is the actual Praman. But because you don't have eyes to see, that's why Pratyaksh is cut. Actually, Pratyaksh is the main Praman of encountering Krishna face to face. And that's why sometimes the signal is coming, like optical fiber signal, we have to receive it in our mobile. Or the waves are coming from satellite, we have to receive in the mobile. So there is a demodulator and modulator. It changes optical energy to the electrical energy, because this is what our circuits can understand. Circuit cannot take the EM waves directly. Circuit cannot take optical light directly. And that's why the optical light is converted to electrical signal which the mobile circuit can understand. And that's why the pratyaksh of a guru is transformed into the Shabda. So that outside, because the Shabda is one of the 24 elements. So Guru is having the pratyaksh of the outside sphere, and within the sphere he is transmitting the optical signal into electrical signal. And that is what is Shabda Praman. This is the receiver side. Yes? This is Shabda Praman. And then, that's why Prabhupada tells the only, and why only Shabda? Why only Shabda? Because out of all the elements, the Shabda is the subtlest, finest. Shabda is rather the source of all other elements. Shabda is the finest. So Guru doesn't try to make it more gross. He just go to the finest thing he picks up, and he transmits through that. So receiver means it changed into Shabda format. And then Prabhupada says the only sense organ through which the mercy of Guru is received is ears. No other medium. That's why hearing. Prabhupada told in Purport, hearing. Fundamental principle. Because only through hearing can you understand anything and that's why Prabhupada will with great spiritual pride he will say that my spiritual master liked this one thing in me. And whenever my spiritual master will meet, actually Prabhupada went to Vrindavan Yatra, and their darshan was going on. Prabhupada discarded the darshan. What will I see with my cross eyes? He sat and heard his Guru. Then years later, somebody, one Maharaj, I am forgetting his name, he brought this Abhay Babu, and told Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he's Abhay Babu, he is contributing a lot in Prayagraj. And Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur immediately said, yeah, I know him, he likes to hear. That was a symbol of Prabhupada. He didn't know his name. Actually, Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur didn't know his name. But he told, I know him. He likes to hear. And then he said Later on he said, because he likes to hear, he will also preach nicely. And that's the only way to receive Guru's mercy that one can become. I'm very sorry, this is the only thing. I think it became more of a physics class. But I wanted to tell, because Krishna consciousness is the highest physics. The physics of Krishna consciousness cannot match with the mundane physics of this world. That's the reason. जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु परंपरा की जय, ब्रह्म माधवा गौड़ संप्रदाय की जय, धनतरा श्रीमद् भागवत की जय.
So, after hearing Prabhu's class, I feel sorry for missing so many of his classes. But I've heard quite a bit of classes by Prabhuji. Prabhuji is very, his enthusiasm is contagious. If you hear his class, you can't help becoming enthusiastic. Very contagious. It's worse than COVID. And people will get it from you also, that this is the also that. So we wish Prabhuji all the best in his Krishna conscious progress. And we wish to hear from him again and again. And part of the glorification of Prabhupada, the current addition to Prabhupada's glory is the opening of a temple by PM Modi in New Bombay, Kargar. So we have some clips and videos here, some photos here, maybe about 12-14 minutes like that. So kindly be present and see it. And if there is a group, I can put it in the group also. But whoever here now can see for 10-12 minutes. And if you have anything to ask after that, if you have time, you can ask me. Otherwise, you are free to go for prasadam. So we'll start now. Hare Krishna. So it was an amazing experience, as you will see it from the video. No problem. No problem. If you start.